Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Saturday. Today we've got a much softer makeup look going on, as you can tell. It's pretty soft. But I want to show you guys how you can get a really nice complexion using less coverage products. So I find it very easy to grab a full coverage foundation, a full coverage thick concealer, put it all together and be like, bam, check me out. But I do have a breakout going on this side of my face, and when I break out, I actually tend to pull back on full coverage foundations. It's like, you know, I wanna hide the redness, but I'm not trying to like slap a ton of stuff on my face, and I feel like it just makes my skin feel better, you know, when you don't have a ton of heavy stuff on it, especially when I'm breaking out. I'm like, I wanna wear less on my face, like give me less stuff. So that is what I've got going on today. I'm wearing one of my new go-to concoctions, which is the YSL Skin Tint mixed with the Ultra HD Concealer. These two together, she's glowing. So I'm using those favorites, also trying out some new products today, so we're gonna have a good time. When I do my skin prep, I do 2 different primers. Typically for this type of look, it can be a little extra, a little bit. But if you don't need the extra step, then don't do the extra step, okay? I'm gonna try this out today. I haven't used this before. This will be my first time. The e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. Supposedly, this is very similar to the Tatcha Silk Canvas. It almost feels like the e.l.f. one kind of like melts into your hand a little bit, whereas this one kind of like layers over the face. The Tatcha one, is the word waxy? Waxy, but I like to use it here, so I press into this area. We'll try this one out today and see how it goes, but I don't use pore filler all over my whole face, just here. So then I'll let that sit for a second. And this is a step that I like to do if I am gonna be out all day, if I don't wanna use a lot of powder, if it's gonna be hot, I'll use something like this. This is the Erborian Extra Matte Ultra Mattifying Primer Shine Control. So if you are a little bit more oily, something like this is really nice, and it's very lightweight, so I just put a little bit in this area here. If you live in more humid weather, this stuff is really, really nice. It's been very dry here, so I haven't really needed it, but sometimes, you know, when your skin's more dry, it actually produces more oil, which is so great. And then I think the rest of my face is fine. I don't really feel like I need any primer in the rest of my face. So now for the coverage, I have my friend over here. This is probably because I drank last weekend over Super Bowl. Saturday and Sunday, actually, I had like 2 drinks each day. I didn't like get wasted or anything, but I had a couple drinks. Every time I drink, I break out. It's just science at this point, and yet here I am still doing it, you know. And I am gonna be using a skin tint today, something very lightweight. So what I like to do first is to cover the area in question, the area that I'm having a problem with. And I like to use a concealer very similar to my skin tone. So you can do this before you do the foundation or skin tint, and you can do it after. I usually like to do before, and then after I put the skin tint on, if I feel like I still need more coverage, then I'll go in and put it on after as well. This is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer. This is shade number 30, which is pretty similar to my skin tone. When I'm covering up something very red like this, especially like I'm so fair right now, it's just like this red vroom, vroom, vroom glow that I have on my face. I like to use something that's a little bit more like a lighter and a little bit more yellow undertone. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this one and you just tap it on. So just tap on, this is a pretty decent amount of concealer, and then I blot it to cover. So you don't wanna buff because that'll give it a thinner coverage. So this is like where I like to have full coverage. So taking my Real Technique setting brush, which I love for concealer, I just tap, and you wanna buff it out. Diffuse the edges here. And then we have a lot of the redness covered already. I do find that using a thinner texture concealer helps to not cling to any drier areas if you have been using like spot treatment or something. But we got pretty good coverage right here, just on one pass. So now we're gonna go ahead and go with the skin tint. And I love this one. I got so many questions on it when I was wearing it the other day. One of them was actually, do I prefer this over the Lancome Skin Feels Good? This is the YSL Touche Éclat All-in-One Glow. I love both of them. I like this one, and I also like the Lancome one. In my opinion, the Lancome one has more coverage. It's more like foundation-y, whereas this one feels more skin tinty. but still has pretty good coverage to it. So anything lighter than this, sometimes I feel like it doesn't even out my skin tone enough, you know what I mean? Especially right now, you know what sucks about since my hair change is like, my face is already more red. Like my face is just more red compared to the rest of me, but now it like really stands out. I'm like, you know what I need? I need to get some sun, I think is what I really need to do. Like this is the shade B30 and I like to apply it with a brush is my favorite way to apply this stuff. This is an IT Cosmetics Buffing Mineral Powder Brush. So completely not the intended use, but I love to use this one. So now I'm just stippling this in all over my face. I feel like this one compared to the Lancome one also, it's a little bit more slippery. I really don't mind it. I'm also used to not touching my face. Like I literally do not touch my face at all throughout the day. So if you do, this will probably transfer. This one doesn't dry down as much, I guess is the way to say it. As you can see, it's gotten rid of some of the redness, like the red undertones in my skin, really evened out the complexion. I think it looks really, really nice. This side that has the skin tint on, much more even complexion, a nice glow, things are looking good. And then this is, no, I'm just kidding. What I'm gonna do here, over here, I was kind of like swirling, having a good old time. Here, I'm gonna be definitely more stippling as to not disturb the concealer that we already applied, even though I'll probably end up putting on a little more because it's really red over here. That area of my face is like, really not about it. It can't handle a breakout very well, you know? I do actually like the smell of this YSL stuff too. It does have a slight fragrance, but it's very light. You guys, guess what? I'm going to Wyoming next week. John's taking me for Valentine's Day. I am so excited. I can't tell you, we never really do anything like major on Valentine's Day. One, because I'm just kind of like, it's not like my thing. I'm not like, get me red roses and a box of candy, you know, like that's not really my jam. But that, and I'm just like, I don't really like going out to dinner like when everybody else is out. Usually if it's like the most busy holiday, I'm like, let me just go ahead and stay home, you know? But he was like, there's this resort in Wyoming that just looks really beautiful and he knows I'm very into like, you know, nature, mountains, snow. So yeah, we're going next week and I literally am so excited. I got some new snow gear last night. Like I'm all about snow gear. I don't know why, but it really excites. It's like my favorite type of clothing to buy. But I'm pretty excited. I'm already like, okay, what kind of makeup am I gonna bring? Definitely gonna be bringing this because you know when you have like a lot of stuff around your face, you don't wanna wear a ton of makeup. So skin tint is on, things are looking good. I'm gonna take a little bit more of my concealer, ever so lightly, and then we're gonna tap it. Pretty impressed. Considering how red it was under there, I feel good about the outcome. I'm gonna take the same concealer and I'm gonna use this to highlight the under eyes. This is still shade number 30, the self-setting concealer. And the other day when I wore this, I did not powder at all and it still looked good, okay? This is like my favorite concealer for days like this or even no makeup days. I just add some of this just like it is right now with no foundation and I still think it looks incredible. So I just think it looks so good on light makeup days. It just really blends into the skin nicely. It has a nice thin texture and I feel like it glows too. It makes you glow. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put it in here to cover up that and then also a little bit right here. Dang, when I drank too, I got congested in here, which I like never really break out right there. My body just does not agree with alcohol anymore. And then just tap it out right here. So I'm gonna take a little bit more. I was gonna use a brighter shade, but I think it would be too bright. I think it would be a little too bright. Just build up where you want a little bit more coverage. I'm gonna bring it closer to my under eyes here. Typically when I do like thicker concealers, I just apply it like where I applied it earlier, just right here, and then I slowly buff it upward. But this one is so light that you can bring it all the way up and it's not like, it doesn't cake or get hella nasty, you know? I'm gonna take my concealer brush of the same concealer. Go clean up the brows a little bit. Since we pretty much have the base done, complexion is done, I'm really happy with the way that this turned out. Really evened out the complexion. Everything still looks glowy, it looks natural, and I have no powder on right now. This is what I wore the other day. Just this, the brows and the complexion, no powder. just for running a couple errands with John. I just didn't feel like doing a lot, but I wanted to even out because my face has been a little bit more red lately. Now as the next step, I'm gonna show you guys like adding blush and stuff like that, because going out, I would do that. I'm gonna go ahead and wear a powder blush today and show you guys how I do that instead of doing all liquid everything. So a couple different things you can do. I do like to powder my cheeks just a little bit before I put blush on. Now what I'm using is a little bit of my translucent powder from Laura Mercier. You can also use something like this if you guys have this powder. This powder is really, really nice. I highly recommend it. The Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder as well is incredible. I'm just gonna tap it right here. And the type of blush that I personally think looks best with this type of look is not a matte blush. I really like to use a baked blush. So Milani, these baked blushes I think look really pretty with this look. Also, if you just want to wear a little bronzer, I'm totally all about that. Also from Milani, something like this from Laura Geller. This is their Blush and Brighten Sun Swept. I also have these from Il Makiage. I don't know if you guys have heard of that brand, but they have some really pretty baked products as well. I'm gonna use this one. I think if I use a really light amount, it'll look very pretty. This is the shade Lady Marmalade. I have a really good voice. So I'm gonna take a tiny bit of that, pat on, just giving us a little bit of color here. Oh, or the Wet n Wild baked blushes. These would actually look, this one would have looked good too. Should I put a little bit of this on? Just for good luck. And I am gonna use a powder highlight. I'm gonna try this one now from Wet n Wild. This is their new shade called Bloom Time. Their Mega Glow highlighting powders. And this is the one that's like this is bright. So I'm gonna use a fluffy brush. I'm gonna start with just a tiny bit, but I think this will look really nice on here too. A little bit more of like that peachy pink. Oh! Ooh! Okay. Damn. All right, next step is I need to powder my eyelids. So what I'm gonna use for that is I'm just gonna use a fluffy eyeshadow brush with some translucent powder and just lightly dust it on there. And then using that same brush, I was like trying to decide what contour color I wanted to use, like the coolest tone I could find. I think I'm just gonna stick with this one. This is the Sigma Beauty Sculpt Palette, the color Faking It, this color here. Just sculpt this area. I wonder, do I do this because my eyes are far apart? I don't know why this makes like such a huge transformation for me every time I do it. You know, one thing that's really nice too, I feel like about wearing a lot less powder, like not setting your under eyes, is it's so much easier to touch up. You know, throughout the day, like even if I wear powder, like shit happens underneath my eyes, okay? But it's a lot harder to fix when you have powder on. That's one reason why I really love using a lot less powder. Also, I think it just makes you look more glowy, a little bit more youthful. Not quite as matte. But the under eyes, like, look at that. It's not like hella creasing, you know? It just looks really soft, very natural. But I'm gonna take a little bit of this highlight and put it like right there on the cheeks. Cute. And then, you know, we're just gonna keep the eyes very simple, more so about the skin today. So I curled my lashes at the base, the middle, and the end. So that way they don't make an L shape. They're a little bit more curled. This is the first coat of the Too Faced Waterproof Better Than Sex mascara. I usually do like 2. The first one is really like lengthening, separating, and then the second coat is more volumizing. I'm gonna try out one of these lipsticks from Maybelline. They're Color Sensational. I have these 2 colors here. Let's test out and see which one we like. A little mauve moment. And, ooh, that's pretty. Let's just go ahead and do the lip liner. This is that LA Girl Keep It Spicy. I'm so obsessed with this right now. And even though this one isn't the wood kind, because for some reason I feel like the wood kind stays on my lips longer, like it's a drier formula. But this one I feel like does last on my lips a long time, like throughout eating meals and stuff. Cute. All right, so I'm gonna use the Maybelline Mauve for me. This is number 373, by the way. I know some sites don't say like the name of the product, or they only do one or the other. It's almost the exact same color as the lip liner, which is crazy. I kind of want to add a little to the center, You know what I'm saying? Let me just take a little bit of my, this is the Milani I Am Awesome, and add it here. All right, you guys, this is no powder on the under eyes. Looking pretty good.
Flawless.
John. All right, you guys, so that wraps up today's video. I am totally here for the lighter makeup looks. It's kind of my jam right now. But let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. If you guys are gonna be trying out lighter makeup looks, let me know, keep me posted. Also, if you guys have any skin tints that you really, really love, drop them in the comments. I'd like to try out some more. I do love this. This YSL one is definitely my favorite of my lightest coverage that I have. So if you have any other ones that are maybe similar, let me know. I'm gonna be on the hunt. That wraps up today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for watching.